Hey, welcome back. Hopefully you completed the assignment from the last video. So you should have filled out your design decision matrix. It should have all kinds of things in it. And you should have picked your words for what life is. Now I'm going to say that your words are great words for you. Think about how those are good words for you. I'm going to pick my words, and the rest of the series is going to be based on the words that I picked. But it's not like there's a right or a wrong answer here, right? So don't feel that way about it. So how did I finish my sentences? So if you're really strategic, you can kind of see that I say a blank, and then and then a bigger blank. So it's probably a vowel first word, right? And then my last one is like the shortest blank. So I've got like medium, long vowel sound to start, and then short. The words that I am going to pick are in that list. So like in the brainstorming list. And just for fun, see if you think you can guess any of the ones that I picked. So I have gone through this exercise as well. I've done a design decision matrix, and I had all my choices and all my weights. To be perfectly honest, I did the design decision matrix after I made my decision. And that's because the design decision matrix can be good for helping you make decisions. It really can be. But it's also really good for giving you confidence in the decisions that you made. It also gives you like a reason to tell your manager, hey, this is why we picked these things, right? And so I did a design decision matrix, and I went through and I ranked them. And it came out about the way that I decided. So my number one is choice. So life is a choice. So there's going to be a whole part about how life is a choice, how we make choices, how life is a choice. The next one I picked was opportunity. So life is an opportunity to learn more. And so that was the long vowel one, right? So opportunity was in there. I also came up pretty high with a test. I dislike this one. This is my least favorite by far. I don't think about life as a test, but it did pretty well in the accuracy, right? So like so we'll talk about that one. My least favorite. Life is a trust also came in pretty good. It's like you've been given things and you're trusted to use them. And then life is a parable. By the way, you can see that trust actually scored number 4, and then parable scored number 5. But I didn't care. I picked these because these are what I wanted to talk about. These are what I felt was laid on my heart to talk about. And so the series is going to go like this. Life is a choice. Life is a parable. So you learn things from our life here about what life really is, right? Life is an opportunity. And then last, life is a test. And then what are your next steps? So that's how this series is going to flow. So you think, okay, we just finished, but we actually, if you go get this sheet back out, we never actually even ask question number 3. And the reason I waited for question number 3 is that it's a later question in your life. So question number 1, honestly, I answered like when I was super young, right? I never had any doubts about question number 1. So I felt like we were not random. I've always felt like we were created. Just intuitively has been my belief since I can remember thinking, right? Question number 2, I answered this one more when I was like 11 to 13. Who is Jesus? I decided Lord. And then big question number 3, honestly, I thought that I'd answered it when I was younger. I thought that I had made the decision, but probably only like 43 is when I was able to answer question number 3. And question number 3 is, will you choose God's will for your life? And so this one is harder than you think. So like whenever I was 13, I said, yeah, super sure. Yeah, no problem. But then I looked at my life and I looked at the choices that I was making, and I realized that I was making Dave Fisher choices, right? And it wasn't until I was like 43 that I had the confidence to say that I choose God's will. So the bubble's an easy bubble to fill out. Are you ready for God's will for your life? Or you could say like, will you choose God's will? The big will question, right? The ways out are simple. You choose Dave Fisher's way, right? So my will, whatever your name is, or you choose God's will. And it really is an all-in covenant, hopefully. It's not to be taken lightly. You should hopefully spend a significant amount of time and undecided, maybe less than me. So I like question number 1, 0 time needed to think about it. Question number 2 took me up to like 11 to 13. So like, I don't know, around 10 years maybe. And then question number 3 has really taken me about 30 years. I'm a little embarrassed for that. So I thought that I had picked God's will, but I was undecided, right? And so I've now picked God's will for my life, and that's helping me move forwards. And so really what a big part of this series is it's to help give you the confidence to make this last choice, right? And so you don't make a choice unless you're really, really confident about it. And so the series of like looking at what life is actually based on trying to help you move from just answering question number 2 to answering question number 3, and to give you the confidence to make that all-in covenant. I haven't thrown in a Bible verse for a while, so I'll throw it in here. So it says, "For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." Again, very poetic. It's kind of like, that's fluff in one ear, out the other. But if you lose your life, another way to say this is to surrender your life to God. You'll find it, right? So that's kind of the Bible verse I want to throw in. These 3 questions, by the way, these are not like a one and done kind of thing. I ask myself these 3 questions every day. It's part of my daily routine. And so like when I get up, it's something I think about first thing, right? It's like, were we created for purpose? Yeah, we were definitely created for a purpose. Who was Jesus? He was the Lord, right? So I believe the things that were in the Bible. I believe the things that he said. I believe that he died and raised again. And given that I believe that, does it make sense for me to choose God's will for my life? And I say that it does. And so to give myself like the confidence for each day, I do this every day, right? So every day I go through it. People ask like, when did you decide to accept Christ in your life? And people are always like, oh, it's when I was 12. I was at this summer camp, and that's when I did it, right? My answer is more that I do it daily, right? So this morning was the last time I did it. So those are the big questions. So that leaves me with one of my favorite quotes. So this quote comes from Rick Warren's book. I've modified it a little bit. And so it's surrendering your life to God's will is not a foolish emotional impulse, but a rational, intelligent act. It's the most reasonable and sensible choice you can make for your life. And so in reading that book, if you know me well, it's not surprising at all that I picked that as the quote that I like best from that book. And I apologize to Rick Warren that I've modified it slightly, but I really like the way it kind of flows there. So we'll wrap this video up with a learning exercise for you. The learning exercise that I want you to do is to look for good resources. So hopefully you enjoy the series and you're going to join us for part 2, which I can now say is Life is a Choice. I look forward to seeing you there. But there's a lot of good resources out there. And what I want you to do is I want you to take a little bit of time right now, search the internet, search a bookstore, search some YouTube videos, see if you can find good resources. The problem with searching the internet is there's lots of resources, but they're not all good, that would help you take a next step instead of just watching my next part. I can also make some recommendations for you. So if it is where you're at in your life, I made a quote from The Purpose Driven Life. I think it's a really good book. It's worth the whatever $15 you pay for some digital version of it for sure. I actually personally like physical copies. I write right in, I get my pen and highlighter out, and I go nuts on that thing. So I've read this book many times. It's very instructive for me. It is really for people that are ready to take that next step, and so to have the confidence to make that all-in covenant. Other good resources, just to mention them, I go to church at a church called Maryland, mccth.org. The pastor there, Scott Longyear, is truly amazing. He records all of his sermons, and you could go watch him. He has years of them up there, right? So you can go watch him for hours and hours, right? So that's a really good resource. There's a ton of things in the library. If you go walk into a public library, like a physical library, and you say, "Hey, where's the 200 section?" Right? Like where are the books about like learning about what the Bible says? go thumb through there. I know that people don't like to physically walk to the library these days, but it's actually much easier because it's much more organized than the internet, right? And they'll have books about the Bible and studies and things like that. And then, like, I think it's like the 240s, they'll have the inspirational books. So you might, in our library, you have to turn around to find it. And the librarians there are super helpful. The lady I talked to was in religious studies, right? So, I mean, that's another way to find a good resource. But take some time, look for things that are a good fit for you and where you're at, and think about how you can move forward. So that's your homework. I have really enjoyed having you join this series. I would love for you to continue to join us for part 2, Life is a Choice. Thanks so much. See you next time. Bye.